Protection against hackers and viruses, the computer kind, not the COVID-19 version, have been issues in online software technology ever since the digital age took off a few decades ago. With a great deal of the work and conferencing that used to get done in an office or a place of business now transferred to online platforms, those security issues are still there. That's become even more critical now that teleconferencing, via a platform like GoToMeeting, Skype, and now Zoom, has moved wholesale to the online networked world. Zoom, a popular and easy-to-use platform which has seen its usage surge in the wake of the coronavirus, has tightened its security features considerably following some bad actors hacking into conferences, including one in Montpelier recently when a state Senate committee meeting was derailed. But these meeting platforms have become indispensable for many organizations, so we reached out to Professor George Silawash, the Chief Information Security Officer at Norwich University, for some advice and thoughts around computer security with teleconferencing and other things to be mindful of now that more people are working remotely from home.
Well, good morning, Professor Silawash. I want to say thank you, first of all, for making the time to talk with us today a little bit about computer security and in specific sort of conference platform security. A lot of us are using Zoom and Skype and other conference platforms that we may best have had a passing familiarity with before the COVID-19 crisis sort of pushed us all online. But just to get us started, I was thinking a couple of weeks ago, there's a lot of concerns out there about the security that the Zoom platform was offering, that it was very easy to get hacked, and we've heard a couple of instances of that happening. So I guess tell us a little bit about how robust is indeed the Zoom security apparatus. I know they've made a few upgrades recently. Has that taken care of the problem?
Yeah, I think for the most part that the majority of the problems have been addressed by Zoom. Zoom, when this whole COVID-19 thing started, they experienced a tremendous growth in their platform. I think the number I heard was over a 2,000% increase in the number of users. And that just put the spotlight really on the Zoom platform. Whether it was because it was easier to use or it was free, they had a free offering, that really put the spotlight on them. And the attackers knew that our telework employees were going to be probably the most vulnerable, and they were going to target the most the biggest audience they could, and that would be the Zoom platform, because everybody was using it. And one of the problems that popped up was something called Zoom bombing, where individuals would gain access to a particular conference, and they might get in that conference and post some vulgar content up on the screen, or just basically eavesdrop in on the presentation or whatnot. And if you have a sensitive conversation, especially when we're looking at school districts who are using this for students. In one case, I believe it was the Vermont state legislator experienced somebody displaying pornographic content on the screen, from my understanding. That's a huge problem, especially when you're dealing with anybody really. We really don't want to be subject to that type of thing. And Zoom saw this problem, and they started to address this by requiring individuals, or having meetings default to requiring a password. And that started to fix some of the problems. They also introduced the waiting room capability, where all individuals are put into this waiting room, really, and the presenter has to approve that individual entering the room. And then at any time, the presenter can also remove somebody from the room too. Zoom's taken a number of steps really to get in front of this problem. I know that it's taken them a couple weeks to do this, but they sure as heck weren't experiencing this influx of users and problems. But one could argue they should have done this a long time ago. But I think it's just now that the more popular platforms, at least in the business world, were really like GoToMeeting and some of the other big players like WebEx and what have you. Those folks were probably pretty well known in the business community. And then all of a sudden we have people flocking to Zoom just because Zoom has made it free for many users.
I guess there's probably some sort of trade-off, I suppose, going on between ease of use and allowing people who may not be super tech savvy to log on without a whole lot of rigmarole, and the trade-off of that is enhanced security.
Yeah, it certainly is. With ease of use, there are equal trade-offs. It's typically you're trading off some type of security functionality for a better user experience. That might not be the best thing in all cases.
How strong in general is your sense of security across all of these platforms? I mean, you mentioned a couple there a moment ago, GoToMeeting, and there's also Skype and FaceTime along with Zoom. I mean, are there some that emphasize the security aspect of this more than others, or are they all roughly in the same ballpark?
I really think that a majority of them are in the same ballpark. I mean, if you wouldn't talk about something over the telephone, you shouldn't be talking about it on any one of these platforms. If it's government secrets, you sure certainly should not be using any of these type of platforms. But I mean, if you're going to have a casual conference call or something that you could say over the telephone, I don't see really a huge problem now with using some of these platforms. I mean, Zoom has addressed some of those issues that originally popped up, but again, we shouldn't be discussing business trade secrets or proprietary information on those platforms. A number of the platforms do have capabilities for telemedicine. I just recently UVM announced that they were going to be using the Zoom platform for telemedicine, which kind of shocked me at first, given all the news about their platform. But I did some extensive reading over the weekend, and Zoom does have what is touted as a HIPAA-compliant platform, and they're even willing to sign business associate agreements, or BAAs, with the individual healthcare providers. And Microsoft Teams has that same functionality. They're even willing to enter into those types of agreements. And it's not necessarily that just because you have a Zoom account means that you can, or a Microsoft Teams account, or any of those, means that you can start using this for telemedicine or other sensitive things. Typically, those are a higher level of service and have different security functionality built into them, so you have to subscribe to that type of service. It's not just baked into the free version, typically.
As more and more people work from home or telecommute or whatever, at least during the next hopefully relatively brief period of time when we're all kind of cooped up inside, I guess, do you think there's more attention that folks who are working from home and online a lot more perhaps than they used to need to be mindful of when it comes to security? I mean, are there more opportunities to kind of either be hacked or be attacked with a virus or something like that, or is it nothing really changes? You're just using your computer more and you're online more.
Yeah, there's a number of things that I recommend. Not only am I a professor at Norwich University, but I'm also the Chief Information Security Officer for the university. So I have a big responsibility for the end users and the security of our platforms and services. And one of the things I tell our employees is that we shouldn't be letting our guards down right now. We shouldn't be introducing our own tools or new tools that haven't been vetted and approved. If your organization already is using a particular teleconferencing platform, that platform has likely already been vetted and approved by either IT or senior management or what have you. And it's a trusted platform, and there are contracts in place and service level agreements in place and whatnot. Whereas if you're just going off on your own and introducing your own tools, those might not necessarily have been approved or really checked for the security of that particular platform or product. Additionally, the attackers know that individuals are working from home now, and they're going to start targeting them more so. I've already seen an uptick in the number of COVID-19 phishing-related scams. We also have the IRS phishing scams, even related to the stimulus payments that we're supposed to be receiving and whatnot. Those are on the uptick right now, and we got to be very cautious about what we're clicking on and where that information is really coming from. Some other general tips. We should be using if we're working at home from our organization, we should have some type of organizational issued laptop or other solution that we should be doing all of our business work on, and not using a personal device to do business work, and vice versa. In other words, don't use a business device for personal work, because mixing those can introduce a number of security issues and really cause that your sense of security to drop, or your security levels to drop. And even though we're working from home, we need to be mindful of what we're doing at home. As we're doing right now, a teleconference or recording, we should be mindful of what's around us, what we're recording in our background. For example, I had my green screen up. That's for me when I record lectures and stuff. I can green screen myself into different things. But what's being displayed around you? What's going on around you? Who has access to that area that you're working from? Just because you're at home doesn't mean you should lax your security posture. You should have the same security practices as if you were working in an office. Lock your computer when you walk away. I just had this heard of somebody where they let their computer unlocked, and an individual or one of their children were over there banging on the keyboard and something, and caused an issue. Just simple things like that. And I mean, granted, now we don't have contractors and whatnot coming in and out of our homes, but hopefully when this whole pandemic lifts, we're going to resume normal business functions. If we continue to work at home and we have people coming and going out of our home, we should be locking our screen, because those people don't have legitimate need to know to that information and data.
Computer security has always been important, and maybe more so now than ever. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.